Hey, I'm AJ, pastor of Extreme Harvest Ministries, and I just want to share with you something that God revealed to me, and I believe that it can touch and bless your life as well. You know, we read many stories in the Bible and can make reference to them in our lives, but there's sometimes that I read stories in the Bible and God shows me a whole new thing about that. And just the other day I was reading about Peter, and Peter being such a man of faith and such a strong-willed person. And if you don't know, or if you're familiar with the Bible, Peter was one of Jesus' disciples. And Peter, along with some of the other disciples, were in the water on a boat in the middle of the night, and there came a storm. A storm came up, and the disciples were afraid and fearing for their life. And Jesus, knowing they were in the storm, not with them at the time, came to them walking on the water in the middle of the storm. Now, as you read this story, you think in your natural mind, how crazy is this? That this Jesus would come to them walking on the water in the middle of a storm. As he approached the boat, the disciples feared for their lives. They thought, this must be a ghost. This can't be real. But Jesus said, it's me. Don't be afraid. And Peter said, Jesus, if it's really you, call me. Let me come to you. Let me walk to you on this water. And Jesus said, all right, come to me. And Peter, he stepped out of the boat in the middle of the storm, in the water, and began to walk on top of the water to Jesus. And he walked and he got closer and closer to Jesus, and he kept his eyes on Jesus. And while he kept his eyes on Jesus, he was fine. He walked upon the water. He was over the troubled waters. But then he began to look around and began to see notice the torrential rain. Notice the lightning and the thunder and the strong winds and the waves around him. And it's when he took his eyes off of Jesus that he began to sink down into the troubled waters. Friends, there's a lesson to be learned from this. When we take our eyes off of Jesus, we're going to start to sink. We're going to start to fall. When we notice our troubles and focus in on our troubles, rather than on the person that can do something about our troubles, that can get us through the storm, then we're going to begin to sink, and we're going to begin to be consumed by our troubles. But I can see Peter, as he sinks down into the water, realizing that he's taken his focus off of Jesus, that he's sinking, and the water and the waves begin to crash upon him, and the water begins to go over him, and he begins to drown and sink into the water. And I could see myself at that point, sinking down in the water. But you know, I can also see Peter looking up in the midst of the storm, drowning in the water, and seeing this figure standing over him. And you know what Jesus told me, and I believe he wants to share with you, that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, no matter what you're consumed with and drowning in, that Jesus right now is standing over you, reaching out to you right now. And as Peter did, sinking down, realizing he was sinking, realizing he was in trouble, realizing he was in troubled waters in the midst of the storm, he reaches out and cries out to Jesus, Jesus, Lord, save me. And Jesus reaches out to Peter. Peter reaches back and grabs on, and Jesus pulls him up out of the water, and they both together walk upon the water back to the boat. And Jesus says, O ye of little faith. When are you going to stop looking at the troubles that surround you, the storm that surrounds you, and keep your eyes and keep your focus on Jesus? But I want you to know, if you're drowning right now, if you're struggling right now, Jesus Christ is standing over you, and He's reaching out. Have sense enough to reach back. Have sense enough to cry out. Don't be consumed by your troubles and your struggles. Don't be consumed by the storm. Reach out to the one that's going to get you through it and bring you through it and pick you up and rise you above the heartaches and struggles of this life. The only one that can do that is Jesus Christ. And He's standing over you still today. Standing over you, reaching out. Waiting for you to reach out and grasp hold of Him. You know, I was told when I was a little kid, and I know every little kid don't like to be put in buggies. Don't like to be set down in buggies. And I didn't like, as a kid, I didn't like to be put in a buggy either. I wanted to get out of that buggy. I wanted to get out of that buggy. And I was told as a kid that I would reach out to my aunt. And when she'd bend down to give me a hug, I would wrap my arms around her. And when she lifted up, it would lift me up out of the buggy, and I'd be able to get down onto the floor. What's the moral of the story? That as you reach up to God, wrap your arms around His neck. So that when He pulls up, you're right there with Him. Whatever you're in, whatever you're surrounded by, reach up, wrap your arms around Jesus' neck, and let Him pull you out. Let Him pull you out and pull you through. God's got better plans and a purpose for your life. But you need to realize that the struggles you're in, the things that you're surrounded with, that's not the purpose of your whole life. Jesus has better plans for you. And He's waiting for you to reach out. And He's standing over you, reaching out to you right now. It's time to reach up. It's time to reach out. It's time to grab on. It's time to wrap your arms around Jesus' neck. And say, God, take me where you're going to go. Bring me out of this mess I'm in. It's not worth the struggle. It's not worth it staying in the rut of your life. Jesus Christ came, died on the cross, rose again, so that you wouldn't have to struggle and go through the heartaches of this world. It's time to reach out and grasp home. God's got a plan and purpose for your life. Reach out and grab hold of Him today. In the midst of your storm, Jesus is there. Reach out and grab hold of Him right now.